This is Groove Talk with FrogE Style.
Welcome to another episode of Groove Talk, everybody. On this episode, I am joined by Pow, Kirk, Blair, and Matt, and they are all part of the band Science is Fiction. So I guess just to start off, why don't you guys just kind of give us a little introductions on yourselves and like about the band in general?
Okay. Well, I'm Pow. I'm just one of the songwriters, one of the vocalists, guitarist. Met Kirk, many years ago, at the end of high school through some mutual friends, and we've been playing together for quite some time.
I'm Kirk, so I also play guitar and I do a bit of singing, and Pow and I kind of took some time off. Pow moved away, and then eventually we started jamming with these two guys over here.
I'm Blair. I play the bass, and I only play the bass. No writing, no singing. I met Powan through my sister, who was friends with his, wife. And so we've known each other over the years, and he hit me up and said, hey, you want to jam? And I'm in science fiction.
Yeah. Even shorter story, I'm Matt. I sit there and try and hit the drums in the right order. And I got into this through Kirk, who, through a mutual friend from where we used to work, invited me over to jam on guitar one time. And we did that a few times because that's normally what I like to play. And then Powan came over one time, and the dynamic changed and started to build pretty quickly. And there was already too many guitars, so I decided to try and sit in another seat because I still wanted to be part of the action. So here we are.
I feel like that's the story of a lot of drummers I've found, is they come over with a guitar at first and then it's like somebody needs to play the drum though, guys.
Well, you already have 3 or 4 of these, I see. Okay, now
You always need a drummer, and they're the hardest.
Yeah.
Even the hardest to find.
Yeah. I feel like it's because it's such a big instrument and it's noisy. It's like it's hard to find a place where you can play the drums. So
that part's been a challenge. We've had quite a few locations because we started in Kirk's basement, but we had to deal with kid bedtimes, so that kind of put a damper on that location. Then we switched to one of our better ones, the community center in Chinook Park, right? Yeah, skate shack. So that worked out really well for a long time because we can make noise there in the skate prep room after hours. So that was a pretty good deal. And then we kind of dropped back to student style. We have a full volume practice studio set up in Blair's parents' place. They were nice enough to cough up some basement space for us there, so that's become the new home.
They love it.
They like it. They bring us cookies and treats while we're practicing, which is always really good.
awesome. What more could you ask for when you're jamming?
They're encouraging. They're all just like, yeah, you guys really improved too. So it makes you feel good.
It's good tonight. What about the other nights?
Well, they never complained. But we were at the skate shack one night. We were about to set up, and they had a community center meeting there that night, and we had no place to go.
That's right.
So we had to pack up everything, just quickly move somewhere close, and Blair's parents live in the neighborhood a block away, so that worked out. Yeah, and then they kind of embraced it, which was nice.
Awesome. So how long has the band been going then?
Well, we've been getting together at least in this, the 4 of us. I want to say since end of 2014.
No, I don't think it was that long.
I don't think it's been that long, no.
No, Blind Beggar, just leading up to that by a year, so maybe 16-ish?
Yeah, probably.
Probably
Okay,
2016.
Probably getting close to 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
If not 3 years.
I got a bad memory.
Powan's like, what year is this?
Speeding up.
I have checks written to the skate shack.
Check. What else were you doing there?
Checks.
And so have you guys been involved with music for a long time? Have you been in other bands, or is this kind of the first one?
I'll let Blair take this one. He's kind of the dude who's played in many bands.
Yeah, in the early 2000s, I was in one band called Moyo Combo. and then I was in another one called Remote Kid. And they're just local Calgary bands. And then took a big break, had kids, stuff like that, and then really just wanted to like just play again, you know, have just a nice escape and jam with some people, because I always loved playing with other people. So when he said he had this thing going, or getting together, I was pretty excited.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Blair's kind of the only guy who's been in bands, I think. Like, really, the rest of us haven't. Like, Kirk and I just sort of messed around before, but like, yeah, just play with different people that we knew that were in bands or not, and never really took off. Yeah, or did anything. Yeah, with it.
So I
Unfortunately.
think we were kind of like nervous or didn't think we were. Yeah.
You didn't realize how shitty you
We didn't
can
realize,
be.
yeah, that you just got to get out
It's
there
okay.
and kind of, yeah. You can improve as you don't have to be perfect to, get on a stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of bands who I can definitely say were not perfect. So, but have you guys been like musicians your whole lives, or?
I think I did what most guys do. You're a troubled teenager, you pick up a guitar, or you buy a used electric from somebody. That's kind of how I started just messing with it. Just bought one off one of my good friends in high school, his older brother, and that's how I got into music and guitar. Played a little bit in Army Cadet kind of stuff. His band sounded pretty cool. That was drums, but so that counts as my only experience, I guess. But never anything official, just hanging out with some good friends that were really talented on guitar on the East Coast. And it would be usually the few beers, and then Saturday night we would just kind of jam and drink beers and play music. That was it. So I was lucky enough to have friends to do that with, and same kind of thing. I had a hiatus, and Kirk brought me back into it out here.
Cool.
Yeah. I think I first, other than just like liking music, because like back in the 80s you'd go to like music class, and it was always very fun, but other than that, like I didn't pick up an instrument really until I played the guitar at about age 15, 16, and then like played a lot just by myself, and just always loved it, because like all my other buddies were kind of in bands, but yeah, I just kept playing it and just loved it, and then eventually I just even bore a buddy's drum kit through in my basement as well, and started playing drums too, and like never really was taught. I just sort of picked it up. I play a funny kind of style, but just love playing music in general. Yeah.
I guess, I took piano lessons when I was a kid and hated it, and then, I quit that as soon as my parents gave in to me whining about it, and then came back to guitar when I was probably like 16, and I think that I learned from like Alternative Guitar magazine. It was like trying to cash in on kind of like the Seattle explosion, so the first thing I read was a review with Johnny Ramone, where he said basically his secret was to just learn power chords and never practice. So I kind of never really learned to play guitar, even though I played it for 20 years. Now I'm just realized maybe for this band I should, so I'm like still a beginner guitar player, slowly becoming intermediate over the past 2 years, so slightly improving. So slow progress though.
Yeah, and I got a similar story. Just, friends picking up guitars and instruments at the end of high school. No real formal training. Just like jamming and trying to hack our way through it. Which is, I don't think that uncommon in like rock and roll. My kids put me to shame with their ear training and their actual reading music and stuff at home. So, glad to see them do that, but yeah, would have appreciated some formal early, but you do what you do, and it's as long as you're having fun.
Those glossy guitar mags got us all,
Yeah.
Play like this
Guitar
guy, and you
World
bought
and
it.
stuff.
I've still got a file folder with all the tablature pages that I tore out of songs that I thought I could learn to play, and I still could play them. But I
That's
still have
another thing. When we were like in the high school, the internet was becoming widespread, and you
That's
could
right,
find
yeah.
tab on the internet.
Yeah.
And then you didn't need to read music. You could read this tab notation and like ASCII, like it's all like just sort of text-based.
And it was all
files.
wrong.
And I would just print out all the songs that I like. You know,
I still have a
and-
big binder, like 200 pages of tab printed.
Yeah, so
That's a lot of
Thanks,
work, people
internet.
typing those up too. Like,
Yeah, I definitely remember playing some tabs, and you play it, and you're like, I'm playing it, but it's not sounding quite right here.
And there'd be version 2, version 3,
Oh,
version
yeah.
4, so
Yeah.
everyone fixed it and cleaned it up a bit, right?
Yeah, and even like with like YouTube and stuff now too, you can like watch people play, which I think has kind of made an impact on music in general and people learning music for sure. Just being able to sit there and watch somebody play a song and like where their fingers go and stuff like that. And yeah, that's just something that's never existed before, I guess. So
yeah, that's what I've been doing to kind of try to for the past year is
yeah.
watching YouTubers and being like, oh, that's how you make that sound. Okay, yeah.
So you guys recently released an EP back in September. So I guess kind of take us through that process a little bit.
Happy birthday to him.
Well, like, we've been playing these songs for quite some time. Like we have a good, you know, for the last 2 years or 3 years we've had the majority of the songs that we play today. But on my birthday, my wife booked time for us at the NMC at Studio Bell, I guess. So we recorded 4 of those songs because it's expensive and like that's all we could like sort of power out during that
Yeah.
10 or 11 hour period.
It was a surprise present too, so I wasn't. She
he
told
wasn't
me
prepared
about
at
it.
all.
He was.
Yeah.
We showed up at his door at 8 a.m. and he was still sleeping. And yeah, she didn't wake him up or anything. Didn't prime him with a cup of coffee. So
Yeah.
we kind of dragged him right out of bed. He's like, "What are you guys doing here?" Guess what, buddy? We're gonna go spend the day in the studio.
Yeah, they were planning on recording it, but like we didn't plan on recording it at a nice studio. But like thankfully, yeah, we kind of got that VIP experience there. It's really, really nice there.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, I'd love to record there again. It's just very expensive. Or in a place similar to that. But yeah, at least we got like the best we could out of those 4 songs. Even though I think even back then we were kind of nervous. Like that was the first time of us recording other than basement recordings. So yeah, we've changed a little bit, and you know we're a bit tighter now. But yeah, we kind of hammered out those 4 songs because we thought, well, I guess it was my birthday, so like we could recorded like 4 songs that I wrote at least for that one. But yeah, that eventually became the EP after a good year of like then trying to find a mixer, someone to mix it, which was eventually mixed by Laurie Matheson. And yeah, and once we got that recorded, we kind of realized, well, we should start promoting this thing finally. Yeah, we're just not very organized because we're very busy, you know, between the 4 of us and like vacations and the, you know, kids and stuff.
Day jobs.
Yeah, it's a good like 3 months out of the year where you're not doing anything musically. Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty accurate
Yeah.
description of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking back,
Yeah, and
we
just
probably hadn't played many gigs even before
No,
we
we
recorded.
hadn't.
Like we weren't gigging much until after the EP.
I don't.
Not
Yeah,
the
we'd
EP,
only
but
done
after we
open mics,
recorded
I
them.
think.
Yeah.
We'd only done
We
open
played
mics
Burns a couple times.
before the EP.
After.
Before,
Yeah.
Before the EP.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so either.
Before recording it, or
Yeah, before recording it.
It's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything.
That's why we were a bit nervous. It was a really cool experience. I remember Kirk was trying to jam in even more songs, and we were there for 10, 11 hours just doing those 4. Like it was a really neat experience to see how the
Yeah.
whole process, but it's
Yeah.
so exhausting and
And-
time demanding. It's really cool. So we were lucky to get 4 out of it, I think,
Well,
actually.
for sure.
in one
But yeah,
day.
Jason, the engineer there, even kind of was like, I'm going to stay an extra couple hours because to make sure we get this right for these last couple tracks. So it was nice of him to, yeah. He's like super supportive. He's like, I realize this is, you're probably nervous, and kind of helped us out and figure out how to, get our money's worth for that. Like 10
Pretty much
hours,
recorded
yeah.
in one take, kind of. There's a couple extra takes here and there, but like because of time constraints, and we're just not,
And our inability
Used
to
to
follow a click pattern. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we had to just do them in one take and some patches here and there afterwards.
Yeah. I think we went with the best drum take and then
Yeah.
punched in over our mistakes after for the other parts. That's basically how it worked.
Yeah. But what you hear is pretty much what
Mostly
happened that
live,
day.
yeah.
You just go. Yeah, we all went. Yeah, just very old school style. Everyone in the same room, But it's made. The studio's so nice though that there's little lockdown rooms in the corners. So there isn't, and they plug your amps into different rooms upstairs. So there's no bleed. It's just this beautiful space. So yeah.
And they have the instruments there too. You were on an amp that Neil Young donated, and that was on a Ludwig kit from the 60s, I think.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, Neil Young's amp was sick. Yeah, it sounded amazing. Yeah.
And whose microphone was he? Did double vocal takes because one mic was the standard one, and there
He's
was
this is a $9,000 mic or something.
Yeah,
We're
something
oh
crazy. Lay down your vocals again on this thing.
And Pound doubled his vocals we could hear both in the booth, and he was right on, nailed it, and he's like I can't hear my vocals, he just was word syllable for syllable, double his vocals exactly.
Right
exactly, yeah.
Somehow I couldn't hear myself in my headphone, and I was doing the double vocal, and that's not totally perfect, but for the most part it somehow lined up. I don't know how.
Yeah, that was pretty spot on.
Don't know how.
We were sitting there behind the quiet glass going.
But we never kept it anyways. In the end, we just stuck to one vocal track. We didn't double any vocals. We kept it pretty simple. Yeah, that was kind of recommended by I don't know who.
That was Laurie's professional opinion. Laurie's pretty blunt. He's that doesn't suck.
Bob did it.
Yeah.
Did double, and it sucks anyways. Yeah, because it didn't line up totally perfectly.
I love telling somebody blunt like that.
It was good.
Tell you
Yeah.
like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely valuable to have somebody like that who's just okay, yeah, we're going this way, it sounds better, people like it more, whatever, Those people are valuable for sure. So what does it feel like to, I guess, have a completed piece of music then after so many years?
Feels good. Yeah, no, it really lights a fire. We definitely went really hard to then, get that EP release, show lined up, which we weren't really even prepared for because it was right in the middle of summer vacation, and here we are trying to get the nicest venue possible in Calgary, being complete unknowns on the scene, and I don't know how it worked out that we got the King Eddie as our which was pretty much our number one choice to play at, to agree to a Friday night show, which is pretty hilarious, but I don't know where I was going with that.
It's a good
I
story.
forgot what my line thing was. Someone take it from me there.
Yeah, take it on where you were going with it. It feels. I'd say it feels great because it's done. It's an accomplishment. You get that completed. I have a few downstairs in my garage, on the bar fridge, just where I dropped them after we came back from the release. And every time I walk in there, I see them. I go, "That's pretty cool. We made that. It's pretty neat." So I'm where do we go now? Who knows? It's cool that we're still progressing with it, but it's kind of like a milestone step, I think, to have that finished product.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty cool. It's nice to get it out there and get feedback from people. We've been getting decent amount of plays on college radio and stuff, and it's nice DJs will message you sometimes and be really like that track, and
Across Canada too. That's the coolest part.
Yeah, and some weird places we've been in. I guess it just depends on the individual DJ might like you, but in Windsor we've been in. Yeah, Kamloops loves us. We're on week 3 on their charts there and stuff. So that's kind of just some validation that when you're playing in the basement or even when you're playing shows, people aren't going to be nice to your face after great set. Everyone just says that, but no one has to play your CD if you send it to them. So it's kind of nice that some people actually do that.
For sure.
Yeah, thinking back to other CDs that I've seen, I don't know if it's just the process has changed or it's just these guys have been killing it, but they got on it and have gotten all this at the very least college radio coast to coast and keeping track of it and really getting articles and contacting you. I've been impressed. I think it's the most airplay that I think any CD that I've been on has been. And that's, I think, testament to you guys and even just finding out about that mail out. I don't know if it existed back then, but CJSW will send your record out to like all the university stations across the country.
Yeah,
Like
which
that's a
was
service
huge,
they provide. That
Oh.
if you're a band putting out a CD, go take advantage of this.
Yeah, make some CDs. Take
Because
What,
I
did
didn't
they
know
just
about it.
Axe that?
Sorry?
Did they just axe that, or they're not accepting, or do they
What?
still do the mail out anyways?
I think they probably still do the mail out. They don't. Yeah, they've switched to digital submissions only, but I think they still mail the CGs out every. You check on their website. I think it's just called cgsw.com/mailout. I think, and there's all the instructions. But you give them, I think, you give them like $100 for postage and the CDs, and you write a little cheesy blurb, and they put a sticker on it, and then you just email the stations, be like, hey, this is gonna be showing up. This is the kind of music it is, and if maybe put it on the rotation, and
Boom,
think-
you're on the radio in
yeah,
Kamloops.
you're on the radio in Kamloops. It's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Cape Breton, you said too?
Cape
Well,
Breton.
Did you say Cape Breton?
They emailed us to say we were in heavy rotation, but then I don't know. Sometimes you
It's coast to coast.
we never made it on their charts though,
Coast to
so can't verify that. I don't know how heavy it is.
but that's all on. But just like Blair said, that's all on Kirk. He's been. Use our social media, reach out, make contact, get our name out there. Music guy, he's done a great job
Awesome.
reaching out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that CJSW did something like that. That's really cool that they're, I guess, willing to do that for local bands. Like, it kind of gives it gives the band a foot in the door already, I guess, kind of, if it's coming from a radio station. So that's neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I guess just for the listeners, how would you describe the type of music that you guys do make?
Oh boy.
Yeah, most bands hate this question. Just
This is the hardest question, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you always grab a bunch of other bands and say we're kind of thisy thaty, sort of something like these guys ish.
yeah.
We have different opinions on which ones we sound like. Powan, how do you think your music
We've
sounds?
sort of I've been struggling to figure out how to classify ourselves. Of course, like we're still pretty much just a 4-piece, right? Like we don't play around with anything other than 2 guitars, bass, and drums. Centered around like guitar riffs. I don't know. Like I think what makes us unique generally is like Kirk's voice and my voice are a little bit odd. We're not singers, and so like we just do the best we can. We write for ourselves, of course. We're not trying to be anybody else, because if we did, we wouldn't be able to pull it off, I don't think. So I don't know. What do you think, Kirk?
Yeah.
Watch out for that bus, Kirk. Did you
Just,
see that coming?
I just said nothing.
Kirk's been writing these things and setting it out, right? So he
Yeah.
knows a little bit about what we sound
I
like.
usually just take other people's quotes and then like put quotes in it and say we sound like this. But I mean, yeah, I think there's like the Modern Lovers gets people bring that up a lot. I think Pound's like massively influenced by Jonathan Richman, and then kind of that, you get a catchy riff and a melody that sticks with you, and then you kind of get some lyrics that are, you don't know how serious they are or how much he's messing with you, kind of like. That's kind of what I like about his writing too, is that it's and then just stuff that like catchy guitar parts that stick in your head, like
They're catchy tunes with like an all ages appeal of a kind of not poppy, not grungy, not full blown rock. They're just a little bit of everything tunes,
kinda
and you just
like-
go, hey, I like that. And you start bobbing to it like Blair does when he plays. He digs the music too.
how would you describe your bass style?
Yeah.
Let's put you on the spot now.
Yeah, like you're not. Yeah, I have no idea.
Maybe an easier question to ask is, what kind of music are you guys influenced by?
Was this my B music line?
We'll start with Matt.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did we look at the?
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about this over a beer the other day. And I discovered that I kind of like a lot of B bands, but just like Blue Rodeo, Black Keys, Big Wreck. It just kind of worked out that way. But those are the guys that I grew up listening to a lot of, and I think it was a lot of the Black Keys stuff that I really. The guitar part was great because I was like blues music. but the drums in those really got my attention of how it followed the guitar. I thought, hey, this is something, and it was really thumpy and kept changing tempo, and so that's what kind of got my ear into drumming. But so much great Canuck music.
I think a lot of the influences that sort of got me into the bass probably don't really apply to this band, other than like the Talking Heads, that kind of stuff, and some of the stuff maybe I played with when I was a kid, which was more indie rock. What I love about this band, it's a little less depressing indie rock. And yeah, like you got it. It's very sort of riff centric. I think a lot of the riffs that you come up with, or I'm pointing to Pound and Kirk. You know, they got like a good hook to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just power chords based and stuff like that. So yeah, that kind of stuff.
Kirk's the music nerd here.
I'm kind of I guess I'm kind of the nerdiest one, but I don't know what names to drop here that influenced me. I guess my guitar playing in this band is probably most influenced by just 90s indie rock, like Pavement, Archers of Loaf. I don't know but I try to bring some other stuff in that, but I don't know if it works. But lately I've been listening to like Tune Yards a lot, and I don't know what else. And then lyrically, I guess when I write, I listen to like a lot of like Southern rap for a while, and so I try to get like a lot of internal rhymes and like weird cadences like that, and so that's kind of without trying to sound like a rapper, obviously, but yeah, but just for writing style, that's I don't know.
I don't know if we're supposed to be or not, but I'm a really big fan of this band, actually. And it's the Powen is a fantastic songwriter, and the riffs he comes up with it gets me excited, and that's why I wanted to be part of this, because it's just fun music that we get together and play. So I really enjoyed the music that we make.
Yeah. I was influenced by many things, and I sort of pick Kirk's brain sometimes when I'm like trying to find something, like even especially back in the day when you can just go on YouTube, and so like Kirk would always like push bands, and I'd try to listen to them, like mostly like these 90 kind of indie, totally obscure bands, or at least obscure to most people. But I'm still obviously influenced by just even pop music, anything really. But like guitar playing wise, Hendrix was one of when I first started listening to like classic rock. That was like one of the artists that I listened to a lot to try to emulate and play guitar too. But then I moved on later on, and just I realized that I didn't have that much time to play guitar anymore, and I didn't think I'd ever be a virtuoso, so I just sort of came up with my own style. So my playing and practicing is really just trying to come up with my own chords, or my own riffs, or my own plucking patterns, and then even lyrically similar to Kirk, I'll listen to anything, and I'm mostly trying to find words to rhyme, or still have something interesting to say lyrically, but I want it to sound a little bit different, and coming in at different times, and the phrasing to be a little bit off, to not be totally predictable, I guess. I'll be influenced by anything. I'll even I like pop music too, not everything, but because the idea is to write something that is sort of catchy, at least, right?
Even country. You've dropped a couple of those on us too.
Yeah, even country.
We've got a
That's
couple
why our
of
album's kind of all over the map, right? Too. And if you go to our show, especially, our songs are kind of all over the place. Because we just I can't stick to any one thing, otherwise I'll be bored, I think. Yeah.
I think now more than ever that's kind of happening. People and bands, they draw from kind of all influences. You can get some really weird combinations now, like full on funk bands that have hip hop overtures or whatever, and it's just, maybe that's because of the internet and just the access to music that we have nowadays. I don't know, but it just seems like there's a lot more kind of experimentation going on with different sounds and different things like that maybe we didn't see so much in the past, but that's just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, there's definitely less silos, but, or less, there's more crossovers between them, I guess, but yeah. I mean, there's still kind of those weird, like, scenes where you hear a band and you're like, whoa, there's a whole scene based around this very specific sound that I know nothing about. There's like like 1,000 bands that, play this very specific kind of music and tons of people are into it, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
CJSW is very good for finding out those obscure
Yeah.
genres. So I guess how do your songs kind of come together? How do they form?
I think mostly because we don't have time, once again, and even I don't have time to write that much. I'll play very late at night after I finish working, and I'll just start playing around, with either a song or just something that I've been, whistling or humming, that I came up with, out of, I don't know what, nowhere almost, but I'll come up with something first, and then I'll either try to get some lyrics or, going for it, or I'll just bring it to the band one day if it's a song that I just have a riff for, and we'll just start playing it. And there's a couple songs that we play at jam that haven't developed into anything, but I just like warming up to them. They're almost like our jam warm-up songs, because they're just like they're kind of like, this is fun, like a funk riff or something, just to get you loose. But yeah, generally I think when it comes to me, I try to bring a fully or a semi-fully formed song to the band, and then we'll work it out. We'll work out all our parts and, drums, bass, guitar, backup vocals, and then the band will give input as to, arrangement as well, in case it's not sounding great or it's too long or too short or whatever. That's mine. Now Kirk, I don't know, he's got similar kind of.
Yeah, I don't write as much. I probably like 10 to 1 songs, Pound versus me, but yeah, I usually try to come very close to fully completed, because I get very nervous about playing even in front of these guys something I've written that they won't like, and then if someone doesn't jump on it right away, I usually never bring it back again, so I'm pretty not as prolific, I guess.
We work them out.
Just
That's really the routine. We work them out
yeah.
as we go. Powan brings a riff or something, and just kind of starts to play it, and we give ourselves that vertical learning curve to try and hammer something out, and we'll slap a couple layers together and go, okay, that's good. Then we'll leave it, hit that roadblock, and we'll practice our other ones that we know, and then the next week when we come back, we work on that one a bit more. And I think that's kind of how they go. We piece them together on the fly, just together as a group. Yeah.
You'll record it if it's brand new, once it's completed, and then we might go back and listen and be like, well, that's doesn't need 6 verses, or that's doesn't need a 2-minute jam session at the end, or whatever.
It's
I kind of got bored.
Just us trying to feel the song out and put it together.
Yeah.
And then we get rid of the extra stuff later.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like any creative process. The initial step is just getting those ideas out of your head, getting something down, and then you kind of refine it later. And at least I don't know. That's how I like to do things with most of the things that I do. But how did you guys decide to kind of go from just playing together to starting to play shows and progressing from there?
It was you.
Well, I just pushed these guys. We were playing in the basement for so long, and we played. I keep telling these guys we played 100 times to ourselves. Why don't we just play live somewhere? Because then we'll get better, I think, if we play live. So I don't know who booked our first attempt or told us to, but we just went to an open mic, of course, at Pizza Bob's. I think that was
Blind
our first
Beggar.
one.
Blind Beggar was our first one.
Right, but that was very, very early.
That was our
That's
first.
it.
That was our
That's
first.
it.
That makes it our first one.
Yeah, we were super nervous
That'll
sitting
be
with the
always
Blind
be
Beggar,
it.
and the Blind Beggar is kind of a funny scene.
Oh,
There's
yes.
hardly anyone in there, but
Got a great setup. The stage. They have a
Yeah.
full-on stage,
Yeah.
a full-on backline.
I don't think it was possible to be more nervous. I think I went through a pack of smokes before we got on stage. 'Cause we wanted to be in the last ones, I think, or the second last ones, and we were there pretty early. we had to hang around for quite a few hours, just getting more and more nervous about going up
It's a little
there.
intimidating because the people there
Yeah.
can shred.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
There's
there's
the
older
regulars.
dudes who shred, and then the guy who's like, it's the type of place where the open mic person who's hosting it goes on for like an hour beforehand, and just like, that's all they do. They play music. They're basically musicians. So like I don't know. Yeah,
Way
you
better
can
than
follow
us at
them.
all.
Yeah, and there's a guy with a saxophone who just hangs out, and like he didn't join with us. Maybe we weren't good enough, but he would just like randomly. It was like a jam. He would just get up and jam some saxophone over random songs, which was it's like wondering if he'd join us, but he didn't.
No. Yeah, but that was very early. We kind of got out really quick out of the gates, but then it didn't play again live for a good year. I don't know what
Still
it was.
recovering from the trauma.
It's probably our
It
coming
took
up on
us
the
a while.
anniversary of that, because I think that was like a November, December time. We made a goal to finish it before that year, whatever year that was. Let's get out
Yeah.
once before the end of this year.
Yeah, and then
Then we didn't for a
slowed
while.
down a
And
bit.
then-
Oh, yeah.
the following year it took us a while.
Then after that, the first time after that was at a Pizza Bob's, which was far less intimidating. Much, tiny place, but like but the setup was just horrible, and we were very inexperienced. So, like we didn't bring any of our instruments down, other than like we didn't bring our amps down even for that matter. So I don't know if you've been to Pizza Bob's, but it's basically like just this board, and they might have a bass amp, so it kind of sounded horrible, like, cause even like I don't think I even used a pedal or anything. So it sounded almost like you're plugging your instrument into an acoustic kind of setup. We sort of fired through a few songs, and then after that, I don't know.
We sounded good enough that we got invited back. And
Yeah.
it became kind of our place. Like
Yeah, we played quite a few
I
times
love
there.
playing at Pizza Bob's, and
Yeah,
And it was
we
always a
bring our-
storm. It
Yeah,
was
we
a
bring our
regular
amps
thing.
now. Yeah.
It was a storm every Friday or Saturday that we played there. It was some crazy weather and the city would shut down, but their pizza's fantastic though. It was great payment.
Yeah, I don't know about playing for pizza and beer.
Big motivator.
the Pizza Bob's pays the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we're a bit more. And now we know. Yeah, like bring your own equipment generally, unless I don't know. Bring your own amps unless you know what their setup is. But like, even when you do that, sometimes you don't get the sound that you want. So we try to bring every. Now we're a bit more experienced. We know what to bring with us when we go, and we played a bunch of times at Vern's as well, which I also like because it's just like this basement bar. You know it, right? Like it's like not pretentious at all. And it's not like they have like lights in your face there either. So, but then it just made it all the more intimidating when you try to go play a place like Broken City, right? Like where they actually have lights and like a proper sound person, and you have to be on in just a big crowd, kind of generally, right? Even at Rocking for Dollars, for that matter.
Yeah.
Those crowds there's sometimes like 100 people. I feel like there.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it feels like 100 people at least.
Not for us to go and smoke when we're on.
No,
We're still there when we play, but yeah, sometimes.
they're just there to spin the wheel at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've seen bigger crowds at Rocking for Dollars than some like legit bar shows. So yeah.
That's pretty cool that there's avenues like that in Calgary
Yeah.
for starting bands, I guess, to get out and do that stuff. And so we've been really fortunate to get in on those. I think it's great the place where we play Pizza Bob's, Vern's, and Broken City. So we're repeats there, and because we can, and they'll take people
Yeah.
like us. So it's great.
Like my brother's in a band in Vancouver, and he said it's just a nightmare trying to get gigs there. Like there's a lot of like pay to play stuff where you have to, like you or you guarantee to sell a certain number of tickets, and if you don't, you're basically on the hook to pay for them, kind of thing. And so, which is not really the case here. There's tons of places where pretty open to putting you at the start of a bill,
Yeah.
even if you can only bring out like a dozen people or whatever. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, Rocking for Dollars and Vern's, like those two things specifically are like, I think they're really, really good for the city just because they do give
Totally.
most bands I've talked to, that's where they play their first shows, is either Rocking for Dollars or Vern's, because they'll just take any band, If you can make noise and you have, a certain amount of members, yeah, sure, you're on the list, so it's really cool to to have stuff like that in Calgary, and I think is very, very valuable for the music scene for sure. Yeah, I think it kind of fosters that sense of community that maybe other music scenes are lacking, like Vancouver, where it seems kind of more cutthroat and stuff like that. So I guess what kind of support have you guys received from the Calgary music community?
Received, well, I think CJSW has been like kind of our biggest supporter, right? In a way.
Yeah, like the music director there's answers emails, which is nice, and you know, like when we had our EP release, it was super last minute by the time we confirmed. She set us up with a live show, and like the DJs there have been really receptive too. And then I guess other bands that we kind of have run into, there's Scratch Buffalo, there's Floodplain, which is kind of on hiatus.
Our last show, Koi.
That was JT Pearson. He's a
country
country
to play. So
country singer. So other acts like randomly. I went on Instagram and just hit follow to all the suggestions. I followed like 10 bands until like Instagram like blocked me because they thought I was a bot. I just had follow, so I followed like 3,000 people. But just from doing that, like we had like 4 or 5 bands reach out and be like, "Do you want to play a show together?" Yeah. So that was sort of paid off, maybe. I don't know.
Kirk's got some good techniques on how to connect with bands without actually having to talk to them in person, which is nice, right? Like just through Instagram, Facebook, right? Like where we got our CD put in like some record store. I forget which one.
Oh, that was in person though. Well, I went down and.
Right. You took it down there, but then you take a photo of it, and then you tag all the bands.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Royal Foundry followed us back because I was like, "Look at our record beside the Royal Foundries at the CD store," and they followed us. And I was like, "Wow."
They actually responded and followed us back, so our ratio is getting a little bit better. Especially if they seem like they're pretty big now. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, who are they?" Because I don't really get out very often, and I was like, "Oh." Yeah, like 25,000 followers. That's awesome, Kirk. Keep it up. Keep doing this weird kind of stuff here. Kirk's been awesome on social media to to get us kind of known by other bands and by like review sites and blog sites and radio shows. But I think so far, by far in Calgary's been our biggest supporter, and like CJSW, the multiple shows on there. That I think might actually like us. I don't know if they're just being nice or not, but we feel like they actually do like us, and they play us, and they let us play a live set at, on a show on.
That was pretty fun.
On Union Jack, like they let us do that, which was cool. Also a really great experience. Like I just love that when they sort of take care of you, right? Like they have like texts, and they mic you up and you play, and they let us have an interview that day as well after playing live and. Who else has supported us the most?
Double Entendre.
Yeah.
Right.
Introduced. Yeah. What's the story behind that? Is he your neighbor or?
Well, Iron Maitland, who guests on that, we've got kids in the same like school classes and stuff, and some mutual friends, and turns out that the show that he subs on is the host I went to high school with. Didn't even realize when it first got played. So they've been supportive. And some covers. Another show that played us, Night something.
The Nocturne Table. That's which is I was surprised by it because I listen to that show a lot, but it's very like, kind of like, I guess like stoner rock oriented, like stuff where you're like very groove oriented, which. But I guess the host of that, she just liked her one song and played us, so that was kind of I was actually like going to a movie in a parking lot, and like just before I turned off the car, that was the first time I ever heard us on the radio, and it came on. I was like, "Oh wow!" It actually happened. So I just pure dumb luck that I was in the car at the time. It was pretty cool.
Something happened to me that same night. I was like texting Kirk. The minute it was like, "Hey, I just literally turned my car on and we're on." And Kirk's like, "I'm also in my car right now." And I heard this, and then those guys like tuned in. I'm sure right after we chimed in there. But it was a funny experience. It's Kirk and I, like we're both just starting our cars or whatever when it comes on. You don't really even realize it's yourself I think my kids were in my car and they're like, "Hey, isn't this you?" Oh, yeah. But yeah, it's a hilarious experience.
Yeah.
I think we've been really lucky. Like I said, Calgary has been supportive for us everywhere. Like we're sitting here with you now. All those first places that gave us shows, we talked about Vern's Pizza Bob's and Broken City. So we have great luck there. And then getting on the radio stations that were local, that they've all been supportive. And then as we started to play shows, other bands that we met wanted to get together and play more too, right? So everybody meets. You meet the other bands and you start trying to move up with each other, right? So we've had great luck here. It's been a really supportive city for us, I think, for trying to get this going and have fun with it.
Yeah. I've heard that from a number of bands. Is just the support that you find in Calgary is a lot different from other places they've played and stuff. And it seems like everybody just wants everybody to do well.
Yeah.
Just play more shows and bring more live music to the city, which is never a bad thing. So. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess what is it like going into CJSW and playing live over the radio like that?
Well, still nerve-wracking.
This was the second time I've played on CJSW. I played the last time was like probably early, maybe 2005 or 2006. It's a lot nicer now. I was blown away at how nice it was because they totally moved. Like they moved their studio, and before it was like sort of like the DJ was over here, and there was just like sort of like a flimsy divider, and then we were just set up playing almost like live. And then this time it was like they had classrooms, like you were in a separate room, everything was DI'd and mic'd, and we had headphone monitors.
Oh yeah.
So it was awesome.
Yeah, the tech was really good. The tech was like the singer in Slut Prophet, right? I can't remember her name, but she was super professional and like it's made us sound good.
It's always a challenge when you play a live show, especially these shows that we play where it's very sort of off the cuff and there's not like often you don't get a lot of time to sound check and refine your sound and get your like stage sound the way you want it, and even when you think you have it the way you want it, you start playing and it's not, and then you're stuck. But then like when you playing at CJSW, you get a monitor, you have a little board that lets you pick exactly how much of this and that you want to hear, and so it sounds a lot different, and it usually sounds so good. And
like I went back and listened to the recording and I thought we sounded pretty good. Like maybe some of the songs sound better than the EP. Like you can go to find it on their website.
I was going to mention that. I was like, this sounds better than the EP.
Yeah, I think we're just better. Everyone's just better players now. But yeah,
and they get so fast. Like, it didn't take us 8 hours to set.
Yeah.
When recording, that's crazy. Half recording is just setting up microphones
and getting sounds and tones and
and then you actually play the song and you're like, oh. Sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. They had a real. I'd do that again, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. If we drop anything else, like we'll definitely be shamelessly asking again. Hey, can we play live? It was a little nerve-wracking, right? Because you don't want to screw up because it was live. Like, it was literally live. So. I even asked the guys, I was like, is there a 10-second delay? Just in case. No. If you want to just cut us off. But there's mess ups that happened, of course. But like I think once again I was like, even with the mess ups, this is even sounding better than we were a year ago, right? Like we're under pressure, but like just did it. And like I kind of like the rawness of just, okay, here's just your instruments. You're not going to be like adding in any other layers. Here you go, that's what you're going to sound like. So I kind of liked it, actually, after I listened to it another time. But it was a great experience, A little nerve-wracking.
I would assume it would almost have the same kind of nerves as playing a live show. Like, because maybe even more because, like, the reach of CJSW is just, greater than...
And you can hear your mistakes more clearly because your monitor sounds so good.
And there's no, like, feedback. Like, live show, at least you can... find that one person who's like bobbing their head and be like, okay, at least one person's enjoying that. But in that room, you're like, you don't know until later.
Nobody's little crossing their arms staring at you.
That's true too. There's no negative feedback. There's no one like
give me a stink eye.
People walking out.
Do you guys still get nervous when you do play shows?
Nothing like the beginning.
get really nervous, I'm terrible. Like I shake so bad I can't play guitar, which
That's why we don't do your songs
yeah,
first.
nobody yeah. I like to get my songs out of the way where I have to do more stuff, but yeah, but I am kind of on the side. I don't think people pay attention to me, so I don't know why I get so nervous. Like it's mostly on Pow and
Kirk
like
finds a couple of songs though right now, even though he's, we haven't added a couple of his newer songs he's probably working on, but he does, front two of the songs, and we play fairly loud, but like I don't notice Kirk's like once we start playing, I don't notice it, at least. Like I don't notice any mistakes Kirk, if he is making a mistake or not. It sounds weird to me.
well, I'm always making mistakes.
Yeah. But I get nervous. I know I also get the same kind of nervous as Kirk does as well. The only thing that sort of like allows me to get rid of the nerves or just forget about the nerves is just like playing a little harder or like whatever it is, like just getting a little crazier on stage. Like yelling a bit more on stage, like when you're singing or whatever. That's the only thing that can get me out of that funk. Because I'll also mess up my guitar. I've been in that position where like you try to start a song and you do it like 3 times in a row. The guys are looking at you. Which really sucks. But I think it's good to be nervous though, because like you're sort of enjoying yourself. I think kind of if you're nervous.
Well, yeah, and you're also like caring. You're like you're using that energy hopefully to like play well and focus. Like it's like an adrenaline rush. I think like it's. Yeah.
Totally. There's definitely a buzz that lasts afterwards, after the show.
Yeah, I always feel good after, unless it's a really bad set. But like, when I'm up there, I feel terrible the whole time usually. Maybe the last 2 songs I start to relax a bit.
Yeah.
You kind of find like a couple beers to take the edge off. Like you gotta find your balance stuff.
Finding that beer balance, because we're never the first. Like, we're never the first band to play. Generally, even when we ask to be the first band to play, usually we're like, especially like Rocking for Dollars, we're the last band many times over. So by then, you've had a lot to drink. I've forgotten lyrics. I started saying weird things to the crowd. You guys are like looking at me like, just start the song already. So
bring extra sticks so I can throw one at you next time.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to just start, but they're waiting for me to give the cues. I don't know what it is, but maybe I should they should start while I'm doing whatever.
Just
drown
you.
Right? Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I still get nervous before like every single podcast, you know what I mean? So I'm like sitting here for the hour before somebody's supposed to come over, and I'm like, oh man, like why do I schedule these things? Like, like I have social anxiety, and I literally invite strangers into my house to come talk to me. So, but then it gets going, and I'm like, oh wow, it's fun. I remember why I do this, and I also get that rush from just talking to people. I kind of get that good feeling after it's done, and so it sounds like you guys are really busy. You have families and lives, and so how do you make time for the band?
Thursday nights, Wednesday nights.
That's kind
The
of
floating day.
yeah. Well, I think maybe a big reason it started was just like it started when our kids were much younger, and it was just kind of like something we could like book in and be like, this is the thing we do, and it's scheduled because there's always it had to be scheduled so that like if you were like trying to plan something to just go out and hang out with friends, there's always something coming up, but you kind of this was something we could put in the calendar and said we're doing a thing, and like it's
got band practice.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's band practice.
Band
it's
practice.
not just going out to have a beer and like wasting time. So
We changed the name. We do that afterwards.
Yeah.
But we changed the name from jam to band practice, and I think that gave it a bit more clout at the home side. Oh, I'm gonna go to band practice.
Well, we were jamming in like Kirk's basement, right? Like, that's how it started initially, and I think we realized kids' bedtimes, and we couldn't jam in our own house. And then I just started calling around venues trying to get a cheap jam space, and it ended up being with like the local skate shack in Chinook Park where I was living, and that forced us to, because like we just literally booked like Thursday nights or something like that for relatively cheap, and so like it was like every Thursday we jam, and we're paying for it, so we might as well go out there. But we made it like one day a week we jam for sure. So we might actually jam more than some bands do in some ways, right? Some other bands are like they're just busy playing, or like, yeah, I don't know what they do, like maybe they have night jobs, but like we all have day jobs, so at least we can book that one night a week to play. Yeah. And then I think we individually play at home, right? Sometimes we'll practice at home, or we'll write at home, or whatever it is, but at least we have the one night, right? Yeah.
Cool. So do you guys encourage your kids to play music then, being musicians yourselves, or
Ask the dads.
My kid's doing violin lessons. I bought him a keyboard, and then for some reason he decided he wanted to play violin, and now he hates it every day. But I'm kind of making him stick to it, and I mean, I think he enjoys like the recital, and he enjoys like if someone comes over, he'll sometimes play a song for them. He likes being able to play, but yeah, I think he'll probably stick with violin probably till a few more years, hopefully, just to learn like theory, and then he can just switch to whatever instrument he wants to play. But I'm just being a jerk now, but set up like a reward system and stuff, so it's a little bit less angry about it now, because if he meets his goals, he can go to a movie or stay up late on the weekend or whatever, so it makes it a bit, yeah.
Blair?
I am by far the least musical person in my family. My wife is a classically trained pianist and singer, and so she has taken over the tutelage of the children, and they're becoming violin and cello players, and like they're already way more advanced as far as like actual like proper musical theory and stuff like that. So I just sort of sit back and watch them become real musicians. And they laugh at me for like my poor tunage and terrible time.
We should get them on the next album.
Yeah.
Get a violin solo.
Write it out, they'll probably be able
Too tight
to
to
do
play
it.
with us.
They'll have to run it out, 'cause you don't.
Yeah, they don't. One day though, I think they'll be jamming. Like that's the one thing where like, I know I have seen people who do classical. Often they're amazing. You put a piece of music in front of them, they can play, but it can be difficult for them to improv. And my wife, she's does some of it, because she has a lot of her singing was jazz, so she has that to an extent. But some others, like it's a big jump from like the classical to say a more improvisational, which at the core almost like the rock, like rock, even if it's not jazz, but there is still an improvisational element, just the way we put the songs together, right? Because like he comes in, like we talked about the process where he comes in with like the words, the verses, the structure basically thought out, but he's not coming in with like a bass part. He's not saying play this. I sort of have to figure that out on my own. So what I hope, as far as my influence, I think with the children is once they sort of have all the basic skills, encourage that improvisational element, maybe, not just doing classical violin, but also, get some fiddling in there, which is basically improvisational violin. And, my wife supported that too. So I think in the end they should be pretty well-rounded, and maybe they can start their own band and see what happens.
Nice.
We have a lot of string instruments there, right?
Yeah, lots of strings. Still need Matt.
What are your children, Matt?
We need the bass. Or we need the drums. We need the kids on the drums.
Yeah.
Which could happen also down the road, I know. Oscar, the boy, has talked about drums, but they're so loud.
Well, that's the thing, with the instruments in the house, you have to sort of like...
He wants some maturity, I think. Like, you don't need a 6-year-old just banging but once they get like sort of that a little more maturity, drums are, I always find like the hardest instrument. Like, it's just such a crazy mode of your brain to develop.
Yeah. Like I tried learning the drums one time because I was like, it's a finger drum or whatever. I can maybe play drums. My buddy tried to teach me, and I failed miserably because I couldn't get my foot to do a different thing from my hand. So
yeah, it's like walking and chewing gum,
Yeah.
which is very hard, as we all know.
Yeah.
The drums are difficult. When I play drums, I play like animal style because I can't figure out how to do it this way. I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah, my kids aren't learning instruments like these two guys are. Although they might be learning keyboard a little bit right now. They're in singing lessons, which we want them to be involved in, in something musically. And so my wife put them in singing lessons. So they're just learning like children's songs, like the songs that are basically kind of forced on you right now. But like my daughter's quite musical, and she'll even like write her own songs up too. I bought them a ukulele that they sort of bang around on occasionally, but I think that I don't know if my kids are ready for instruments yet or not, but at least they're learning music, and I'll definitely I won't push anything on them, but I'll definitely encourage them to do their own thing. Yeah, like write their own songs and just like start their own musical project and go with it. Yeah, definitely will encourage that, but yeah, right now they're on kind of that they're on some path. Yeah, they're clearly on some kind of structured path right now, but yeah, at least they're learning theory. Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe what kind of advice would you give to somebody who maybe is just starting out a band? They know how to play an instrument and they're looking to kind of form a band, and like what advice would you give to that person?
I would just say go find some people, to play with. Doesn't matter who. Like, and if you don't know anyone in your friend group, just go reach out to them, like at your school or whatever. Or like, I don't know how young you are, but like, just go find some people and ask them to play with you. I think that's the first step. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Just go do it. I mean, that's what we do. It started from.
I guess do it sooner rather than later. Like, don't hesitate. Yeah. I guess that's kind of like.
Don't make it a regret.
Yeah, don't make it a regret. Yeah, it's slightly like I kind of wish we had done all this stuff like 15 years ago, because it's now we're just getting going.
It's so much easier.
You see all these.
It's so much easier to get people out.
Yeah, definitely. It's harder to get people out when people our age don't like to go out on a weeknight past like 9 or 10.
I don't like going out that late.
Yeah, it's hard to even get the whole band out.
I actually sort of wondered, like, this came together because we had people in our network, right? You worked your network. But when you run out of your network, like back in the day, you'd open up Fast Forward magazine and there would be a section of people looking for bands and stuff.
Yeah, well, I think like Kijiji has something like that, maybe? I don't know.
Is that where people go? Is it
I don't
Kijiji
know
or
where to
Facebook?
Kijiji, I think, yeah. I've talked to many bands that were formed through Kijiji ads, so...
Yeah. Well, that's like L'Omelette, that's what happened there, right? And someone put out a Kijiji ad, and then the person who put the ad out is not even in the band anymore, but now they're doing really well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they like came and they formed this band, and they were like, okay, see ya.
We're Curious Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good advice, just get out there, play. On regards to weekday shows, I also have problems getting out on weekdays. Why are shows starting at 9 o'clock on weekdays? That's my big spiel about it. It's like, don't people realize that we have lives and we have work and
that's
stuff
not even
like
when
that?
They start. That's the show up time.
The bar wants you to stay till 1. It's basically
I know.
Works.
But
it
it's
used to
just
be even worse when I was younger. Like, I feel like you get on stage before 12:30 if you're the last band. Oh my god.
So is there just kind of any final things you guys want to say before we close this out?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, when I emailed, I thought you might just like listen to the EP, and when you invited us on, that was pretty exciting. So thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just sort of promoting this EP right now, but look forward to some, new music. We have a bunch of things that we haven't recorded yet, that we, it's going to be timed, I guess, the right way, but I look forward to some new music from us. Some new Kirk songs here, I think, coming out here pretty soon, hopefully on our next, CD. But other than that, I don't know.
If you like the 4 songs on the EP, come see us live, because we got 6 more that sound just a lot like it. They're just as fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything planned right now, but we
No shows yet. Keep an eye
But
on
we're
the sites.
looking to get a show out at least. I want to say sometime in
Before the end of the
November.
year.
Sometime in November, we'll try to get something here. We're all here, so yeah.
Our next project is a video.
Oh yeah, we're good. Watch out for the video that we're gonna. Matt hasn't agreed to do it yet, but we're.
No, I haven't.
We're gonna have to get like someone that looks like Matt.
Yeah.
I think in our video.
We're gonna be a beach volleyball themed video if we can get Matt on board. So it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, short
Watch out
shorts,
for that.
And the backup
grease.
concept will be what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll just have to kidnap him or something.
All right, hey, you heard it here now. They're looking for somebody as a doppelganger, so put it out to the podcasting world. But I'll have all the links to your guys' social media and stuff like that in the episode notes of the podcast and like where they can find the EP and stuff. That'll also be there. So if anybody's interested, head there and check these guys out. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to me.
Bless this conversation, 'cause what you're saying really means something to me. Do you have any reservations? 'Cause I'm standing here naked, or are you too deaf to see? There's thunder and lightning. The stars aren't watching 'cause the guards are fighting tonight. I feel this noose tightening 'cause the air is thin, and I find it really hard to breathe right. Oh, 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 oh. Come on, my awkward looking girl. Oh, 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 oh. Come on, my awkward looking girl. In my pocket couldn't hold a rocket, and it ain't big enough to hide in. If my tank was on empty, you'd take my last nickel to cure your original sin. The universe is expanding. I even got my hand in, and there ain't enough room for you. You should get an education to build on our relation, 'cause I'm getting sick of my point of view. Oh, 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 come on, my awkward looking girl. Oh, 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 come on, my awkward looking girl. You gotta put life on pause, yeah, to really get the meaning. Jump up and touch the ceiling and scream. You got a taste for aberration. You get a tingling sensation when you stir and you wake from your dreams. Keep taking off your clothes, babe, 'cause you ain't getting any younger. And what drives away my hunger's filled seed. You're the pick of the litter, babe, and you can't say nothing 'cause your little tiny other don't bleed. Oh, 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 come on, my awkward looking girl. Oh, 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 come on, my awkward looking girl.
If you liked this episode of the podcast, why not leave a review? You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. For up-to-date information on the podcast, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at FrogE Style Productions. That's Frog, the letter E, Style Productions. For more ways to support the show, visit fsproductions.ca.